Essentially, e-learning is any learning digitally delivered via the internet, to a computer or mobile phone, or even still sometimes on CD-ROM. So the main element is it's sort of training or education delivered digitally. I think it's important to remember that e-learning features heavily in education, but Brightwave specialises in e-learning in the workplace. So everything we do, projects-wise, has a clear business objective. Some of the clients we work with, for example, are largely corporate, Bupa, EDF, Sky, and so on. They might come to us with a particular need. They might need to, for example, reduce accidents in the workplace. So we would produce a piece of health and safety training, for example, that would be delivered online. Or they may have a big issue with attrition. One client, Sky, recently kind of came to us really wanting to get their new starters up to speed as quickly as possible, get them motivated and engaged before they even started their job. And we produced a kind of online learning portal which all the new starters accessed from the day they got their job offer, for example, and it included games, all about the company culture, their whole kind of induction program, and then they continued to actually use it when they started the job for kind of on-the-job aid. So it's not just, you know, a kind of course in itself, but it also is performance support as they then go on with their kind of everyday challenges and jobs. For a typical kind of e-learning project, there would be involved very early on a project manager who would be in charge of the client relationship and also pulling together and managing the team that will produce the, you know, the project or the solution in the end. Also involved very early on would be an instructional designer who has very, very good writing skills, but also is very, very good at kind of coming up with a concept that can be seen through on the design and the technology. So there'd be a kind of, you know, quite driven to see the whole solution, and then that will be worked through the kind of art direction and also the technologists. An art director would be involved at that stage, and they would be in charge of the overall look and feel, and also meeting any brand guidelines that a client would have. In addition, there would be a lead technologist who would be responsible to, you know, for bringing other aspects of the technology team together, and maybe we can talk about a little bit more about that in a moment, and also making sure that any solution works with a client's infrastructure, because there are all sorts of limitations, and, you know, something very, very kind of flash-based or bandwidth-heavy might not necessarily work in every situation. In addition, we've got a quality manager who is responsible for ensuring that the project is working brilliantly, obviously at each stage, before it kind of goes on to the next stage of development. We have testers who kind of work on the project equally at each of those stages, but particularly with the kind of finished versions, beta and the final version. And then we also have a group of people called authors, who are responsible for working with a variety of e-learning authoring tools who build the e-learning themselves. And authoring tools are, you know, particular kind of software. There's lots and lots of different types that are kind of common in e-learning.